I watched her walk out in that tight dress, claiming it was just drinks with the team. But I knew. I knew. The late nights, the secretive texts, the lies. He likes it this way, she smirked. And that's when I decided. No more pity, no more pain. I was going to ruin her just like she ruined me. Piece by piece, her world would crumble. The job, the lover, the money, gone. And when she comes crawling back, I'll be there watching her fall apart. This isn't a story of heartbreak. It's a story of revenge. I watched Christine from across the living room. My jaw tightened in frustration. She was getting ready to go out again. The clock on the wall read 9:30 p.m. That seemed too late for any work event, as she had said. "Going somewhere?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Christine barely looked at me. "Just drinks with the team. We finished a big project today." It struck me as odd because I didn't remember her mentioning any project. She shrugged, checking her lipstick in her small mirror. "Must have slipped my mind." Lately, I had noticed little things. Her late nights, the hidden text messages, the way she turned her phone when I walked by. Tonight felt different, though. There was a tension in the air, as if something was about to happen. As Christine grabbed her bag, I noticed her outfit, and my stomach dropped. "What are you wearing?" I asked, unable to hide my frustration. Christine's eyes flashed. "Excuse me? You heard me. That outfit seems a bit much." She laughed, though it sounded harsh. "I don't need your permission, Mitchell. He likes it this way." Her words hit me hard. "He? Who is he?" I felt confusion as I looked into her eyes and saw a mix of emotions before her expression hardened again. "John," she said. "He's waiting outside for what's going to be a fun night." My mind raced. John. I struggled to place the name, a coworker or someone she knew from the gym. "You're seeing someone else?" The words felt heavy. Christine didn't deny it. She just gazed at me, chin raised, daring me to contest her. "If you walk out that door," I thought, "don't come back." I thought I saw a moment of doubt in her eyes, but then she straightened up. "I guess this is goodbye," she said coldly. And just like that, she was gone. The door shut with a force that echoed through the quiet house. I stood frozen, realizing what had just happened. My wife of 5 years had left me for another man. At first I felt shocked, overwhelmed with feelings of betrayal, shame, and sadness. But along with those feelings, slow anger built inside me. I grabbed my phone and searched for a name. "Lawrence," I said when he answered. "I need a drink and some advice." An hour later, I sat in a dim bar across from my best friend holding a glass of whiskey. "She just left," Lawrence said, looking concerned. I nodded and took a long sip of my drink. She walked right out to meet him. "Christ, Mitch, I'm really sorry," he said. I waved away his sympathy. "Don't be. I'm done with feeling sorry for myself. Now I'm just angry." Lawrence leaned forward. "So what's your plan?" I thought about the question for a moment. The drinks had numbed the pain I felt, leaving only a cold anger inside me. I want to make her realize how wrong she was to leave. Lawrence raised his eyebrows. "That's pretty intense, man. Is that really the best way to handle this?" I looked straight at him. "You've known me for a long time, Larry. Have I ever just let things go when they get tough?" He sighed. "No, I guess not." I finished my drink. "So, are you with me or not?" Lawrence was quiet for a while. Then he nodded. "All right. I'm with you. What's the first step?" A smile spread across my face. "First, we need proof. I'm going to hire a private investigator to find solid evidence of their betrayal. And then we start taking apart Christine's life bit by bit." As I spoke to Lawrence, I felt a strong sense of purpose growing inside me. Christine had made her choice. Now it was time for her to see what that meant. The next morning, I woke up with a bad headache and a strong determination. Christine hadn't come home, which was probably for the best. I didn't want to see her right now. I called in sick to work and spent the morning making phone calls. By noon, I had set an appointment with Joe McGinnis, a private investigator recommended by a colleague. Joe turned out to be a straightforward woman in her 50s, with sharp eyes and a quick mind. "So you want me to find information about your wife?" she said without hesitation, after I explained everything to her. "I need real proof of the affair. Pictures, videos, recordings, all of it if possible. I want to be sure about what I find." She tapped her pen against her notepad. It won't be cheap. I looked directly at her. Money isn't an issue. I want the best. She studied me for a moment, then nodded. All right, I'll take your case. But I must warn you, Mr. Bach. Sometimes the truth isn't easy to accept. Are you ready for what I might uncover? I'm ready for anything, I said. And please call me Mitchell. After finalizing the details with Joe, I made my next call. Alma Welch was known as one of the toughest divorce lawyers in the state, and I needed someone strong right now. Alma's office was sleek and modern. The woman herself was equally sharp, her smile bright and confident. Mitchell, she said, shaking my hand firmly, I understand you need my help. I explained my situation to her, noticing her interest grow. Well, she said after hearing me out, it sounds like your wife has made some significant missteps. Luckily, we live in a state where we can use this evidence. We can make sure Christine ends up with very little. How little? I asked. Alma's smile grew wider. If we do this right, almost nothing. We spent the next hour talking about our plan. Alma advised me to start keeping records of everything. I gathered everything I could find. Financial records, text messages, emails, anything that could help my case. As I was leaving, Alma said to me, Don't do anything rash, no confrontations or threats. Let me take care of the legal matters. You concentrate on finding evidence. I nodded, but in my mind, plans were already forming. Alma was going to handle the divorce for me. But there were other ways I could make Christine face the truth. That night, I sat at my desk, surrounded by papers and my laptop. I started a detailed list of our finances, marking every joint account and every credit card in Christine's name. My phone buzzed with a text from Joe. Following targets. We'll update soon. Things were moving forward. Christine thought she could walk away without facing any consequences, but she was about to discover how wrong she was. As I worked, I felt a strange calm. The hurt and betrayal were still there, but they were pushed away by a cold, focused determination. Christine had made her choice. Now it was my turn to make mine. I worked late into the night, planning my next steps. By the time I finally went to bed, I had a plan that would leave Christine with nothing. No money, no reputation, no support. As I drifted off to sleep, I thought about how surprised Christine would be when she realized she had underestimated me. It wasn't a friendly thought. But then again, I didn't feel friendly these days. Weeks went by in a blur of activity. I threw myself into my plan with complete focus, getting fit, dressing better, reconnecting with old friends. To anyone looking on, I seemed like a man trying to recover from a breakup. They had no idea of the storm brewing inside me. One sunny afternoon, I met up for coffee with Gloria Richmond, an old college friend. "You're looking good, Mitch," she said, her eyes showing concern. "How are you really doing?" I gave her a weak smile. "Better than expected, honestly. Keeping busy helps." Gloria reached across the table and offered me a supportive touch. "I'm here if you need to talk, or if you just need a distraction for a bit." I felt tempted to share my plans, but I held back. The fewer people who knew, the better. "Thanks, Gloria," I said instead. "I appreciate it." As we talked, I couldn't help but notice how different Gloria was from Christine. Where my wife had been cold and self-centered, Gloria was warm and genuinely caring. It reminded me how unhealthy my marriage had become. Later that week, I took the next step in my plan. I had been slowly building connections with Christine's co-workers, playing the role of the hurt but composed husband. Now, it was time to start spreading some ideas. I had lunch with Sarah, one of Christine's colleagues, and guided the conversation towards my soon-to-be ex-wife. "I just don't understand," I said, letting a bit of my uncertainty show in my voice. "Did Christine ever mention being unhappy?" Sarah fidgeted a bit. "Not really. She talked about work sometimes, but not much else." I nodded and looked down at my food. "I keep wondering if I missed any signs, if I could have done something different." "Oh, Mitch," Sarah said, her voice kind. "I'm sure it wasn't your fault." "Well," she hesitated, looking unsure. I leaned in slightly. "What is it? I need to know," Sarah sighed. "It's just that Christine could be a bit self-centered. She often focused on what she wanted without thinking of others. Honestly, many of us were surprised you two were together for so long." I felt hurt by her words, as if she had hit a sensitive spot. "I understand. Thank you for being honest with me. As I left the restaurant, I felt a slight sense of victory. Another piece of the plan was set in motion. Soon, Christine would find her support fading away. Later that evening, I got another update from Joe. She had some troubling photos of Christine and John together. It was time for the next step. With a few clicks, I created an anonymous email account, making sure there was no trace of my identity. I attached the photos and wrote a brief message. Lauren Curry, I thought you should know about your husband's actions. Sorry to share this news. A concerned friend. I sent it before I could change my mind. John's wife needed to know the truth, and the chaos it would cause in his life was just a bonus. Next, I turned my focus to Christine's job. A few carefully placed rumors and some whispers here and there. Soon, her reputation would be in trouble. As I worked, I felt a chill of satisfaction. Christine and John thought they were clever hiding their actions. They had no idea what was coming. The next day, Christine called in a panic. Something strange is happening at work, she said, her voice tense. People are acting strangely around me. I even heard a rumor about something involved with a client. Did you say something? I kept my voice steady. Why would I say anything, Christine? I haven't talked to anyone at your job. I just don't know what's happening. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I recalled how she had walked away from me. It sounds like you have a problem, I said calmly. I'm sure you and John will sort it out. I hung up before she could reply. I had a smile on my face. The storm was just starting. Soon, Christine would see how much she had underestimated me. As I settled in for another night of planning, I felt excitement build. Everything was in place. Now it was time to sit back and watch. I woke up early, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Today was the day I would begin to change Christine's life. My first stop was the bank. The teller greeted me with a smile. Good morning, Mr. Bach. How can I help you today? I replied, I need to make some changes to my accounts, as I handed her the forms. Her eyes widened a bit as she read them. You want to remove your wife from the joint accounts? I nodded. That's right, and I want to transfer the money to new accounts in my name only. She maintained a neutral tone. Is your wife aware of these changes? She will be, I answered calmly as I left the bank. Next, I pulled out my phone to call our credit card company. Time to cancel Christine's cards. After that, I needed to change the locks. The locksmith arrived on time at noon. Tough situation, divorce, he commented as he worked. I just nodded. Once I finished with the financial changes, I focused on the next part of my plan. I gathered all the evidence Joe had collected, photos, recordings, and messages. It was time to share the truth. I set up a new social media account under a different name and began to post pictures of Christine and John, along with screenshots of their conversations. The news spread quickly, and soon my phone buzzed with a message from Christine. What is going on? Why are my cards declined? I chose to ignore her text. Next, I had Christine's parents' contact information. They needed to know about their daughter. After 2 rings, Catherine Moon picked up. Hello, Mrs. Moon. This is Mitchell Bach, Christine's husband. Oh, Mitchell. How are you, dear? Is everything all right? I took a deep breath. I'm afraid not, Mrs. Moon. There's something important you and Mr. Moon need to know about Christine. By the time I finished explaining, Catherine was in tears. I can't believe it. Our Christine, how could she do this? I'm sorry to have to tell you, I said, not really feeling sorry. You deserve to know the truth. After hanging up, I checked my email and found a message from Alma. Mitchell, the divorce papers are ready. I've arranged for them to be served to Christine at her workplace tomorrow. Are you sure you want to go through with this? I quickly replied, absolutely. Do it. When night fell, I sat back in my chair, reflecting on what I had done. Christine's financial safety was gone. Her reputation was damaged, and her family was hurt. Tomorrow, she would receive divorce papers at her job, but I wasn't finished yet. I opened my laptop and began typing a series of anonymous messages, vague notes that would keep Christine on edge. I know what you did. Watch your back. I set up some messages to be sent at random times over the next few days. I wanted Christine to worry a little. My phone buzzed again. More messages from Christine came in. What is happening? Why can't I get into our accounts? My parents just called. They're really upset. What did you say to them? Please answer me. I decided to ignore her. She made her choices. Now she would have to deal with them. As I got ready for bed, I felt a sense of satisfaction. Things were starting to change. Christine thought she could leave our marriage without any problems. She was about to find out how wrong she was. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and chances to make things harder for her. I slept with a smile, envisioning changes ahead. The next few days flew by. I quietly watched as Christine's life started to unravel. My phone rang. It was Lawrence McMahon. "Have you seen the news?" I turned on the TV and saw Christine's picture on the local station. The headline read, "Local businesswoman in court and involved in a scandal." "Wow," I whispered. "Yeah," Lawrence said. "It's all over the place. Everywhere online and even on the radio. How did this happen?" I let myself smile a little. "No idea, but I can't say I'm unhappy about it." Lawrence sounded uncertain. "This is getting pretty serious. I guess you want to keep this going." "Absolutely," I said quickly. She made her decision, and now she has to face what comes next. After we hung up, I checked my email. There was a note from Joe McGinnis. "Mitchell, as you asked, I've been watching John. Thought you might want to know. I saw him having lunch with his wife, Lauren. They looked pretty happy together. I'm sending you some photos. Joe." I opened the files and saw John sitting across from a woman holding his hand. His face looked sincere. Perfect. I sent the photos to an email account I had set up, then I sent them to Christine with a simple message. "Seems like you're not the only one moving on." My phone started ringing with calls from Christine. I ignored them all and went out to meet Gloria for lunch. As I walked into the restaurant, I saw her waving from a table. "Mitchell," she greeted me with a smile. "How are you doing?" I gave her a half smile. "Better than I thought, actually. How about you? How's work?" We talked easily, the conversation flowing. It felt nice, like how things used to be with Christine. As we finished, Gloria's expression changed. "Mitch, I know you're dealing with a lot. If you ever need to talk, I'm here." I reached across and held her hand. "Thanks, Gloria. That means a lot." When I got home, I checked my surveillance equipment. I had cameras set up in the house to keep an eye on things while I was away. To my surprise, I saw Christine stumbling through the front door. I headed downstairs and leaned against the door frame as she fumbled with her keys. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice cold. Christine turned around, her eyes wide and red. "Mitchell, I didn't know where else to go." "Well, you can't stay here," I replied. "I changed the locks for a reason." "Please," she begged, her voice shaky. "Everything's falling apart. I lost my job. My friends won't talk to me. My parents—" "And whose fault is that?" I interrupted. "You made your choices, Christine. Now you have to deal with them." She took a step closer, reaching out. "I'm sorry, Mitchell. I made a terrible mistake. Can we just talk about this for a moment?" I almost felt sorry for her, almost. But then I remembered how she had looked when she left, and my resolve strengthened. "There's nothing to talk about," I said. "You chose John, so why don't you go to him instead?" Christine's face fell. "John's gone. He went back to his wife." I couldn't help but laugh. "Of course he did. Did you really think he would leave her for you? You need to face reality." "Mitchell, please," she whispered. "I have nowhere else to go." I stepped back, my hand on the door. "That's not my problem anymore. Goodbye, Christine." As I closed the door on her tear-stained face, I felt a rush of satisfaction. Let her feel a bit of the hurt she caused me. I pulled up the footage from the outside cameras, watching as Christine slowly walked down the driveway. She paused at the gate, glancing back at the house one last time before disappearing into the dark. I leaned back in my chair with a smile. Her life seemed to be falling apart. Her job, her reputation, her relationship, and her home, just as I had planned. But I wasn't done yet. Oh no, the final act was still ahead. The day of the divorce trial arrived, bright and clear. I adjusted my tie in the mirror, meeting my own gaze. This was it, the result of weeks of planning. Alma was waiting for me outside the courthouse, looking determined. "Are you ready for this?" she asked as we walked in. I nodded. "More than ready. Let's finish this." The courtroom was full, with news of our high-profile divorce drawing curious spectators and reporters. I spotted Christine sitting with her lawyer. She looked pale, with shadows under her eyes. The judge called the court to order, and the trial began. Alma was relentless, presenting strong evidence of Christine's choices, including bank statements for expensive gifts, hotel receipts, and other proof related to John. Christine's lawyer tried to object, but it was clear they were struggling. "Your Honor," Crystal began, "my client admits to the affair but claims that Mr. Buck's later behavior was harassment and emotional harm." The judge looked curious. "Do you have proof to support these claims, Miss Kenny?" Crystal shuffled through her papers. "We're still gathering," she said. In other words, no, Alma spoke up smoothly. "Your Honor, Mr. Buck's actions were within his legal rights as a hurt spouse." When it was my turn to speak, I took the stand. I looked at Christine and said, "Mr. Buck, can you share what happened when you found out about your wife's betrayal?" I took a deep breath, letting some feeling show in my voice. I had been noticing changes in Christine's behavior for weeks. She was working late and having secret phone calls, but I trusted her. I never thought she would do this to me. I shared that night in detail. Christine's choice of outfit, her cold attitude toward our marriage, how easily she seemed to forget our 5 years together. "And how did this make you feel, Mr. Buck?" My voice quivered slightly as I replied, "It crushed me. I felt humiliated and betrayed. The woman I loved, who I thought loved me, had been deceiving me for months." I noticed some members of the jury nodding in understanding. Christine's lawyer tried to paint me as controlling during cross-examination, but I stayed calm. "Mr. Buck," Crystal pressed, "isn't it true that you tried to ruin my client's life after finding out about the affair?" I met her gaze firmly. "I took steps to protect myself financially and emotionally from someone who had shown she could not be relied on. Everything I did was legal and justified." As the trial went on, I saw Christine growing more restless. Her eyes moved around the courtroom, and her hands twisted nervously in her lap. Finally, the judge read the ruling. "Having reviewed all the evidence, this court finds in favor of the plaintiff, Mitchell Buck. Mrs. Buck's actions clearly broke the terms of their marriage." I held my breath, waiting for the final decision. "Therefore, I am granting Mr. Buck's request for a divorce. Given the situation, I am awarding Mr. Buck 70% of the marital assets. Mrs. Buck will keep her personal belongings and a small settlement." There was a gasp from the audience. I saw Christine slump in her chair, her face pale. The judge continued. "Mr. Buck will receive full custody of any children, while Mrs. Buck will have supervised visitation, as agreed by Mr. Buck." It was more than I had hoped for. I turned to Alma, who gave me a small, satisfied nod. As the court session ended, chaos broke out. Reporters shouted questions and cameras clicked. Amid all this, my gaze was on Christine. She stood slowly, her legs unsteady. Our eyes met across the courtroom. For a brief moment, I saw how much she had lost, shown in her eyes. Then her face crumpled, and she started crying. I watched as Crystal tried to help her, guiding her to a side exit. Just before they were out of sight, John pushed through the crowd, reaching for Christine. She pulled away, upset, shouting, "Don't touch me! This is all your fault!" As they disappeared, I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was Gloria. "It's over," she said softly. "How do you feel?" I took a deep breath and let it out slowly. "I feel free." We walked out of the courthouse together. Reporters surrounded us. I raised my hand for silence. "I have one statement," I said clearly. "Actions have consequences. My wife made her choice, and now she and everyone else can see where that choice led." I took Gloria's arm and we walked away, leaving the noise of the courthouse behind. The sun was shining and the air felt fresh. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe again. The storm was over, and I felt like I had won. The morning after the trial, I woke up feeling lighter than I had in a long time. The house felt quiet without Christine. I stretched, enjoying the calm. My phone buzzed with a text from Gloria. "How are you doing? Want to grab breakfast?" I smiled and typed back, "Sounds great. Meet you at Joe's in 30. As I got ready, I looked in the mirror. The man I saw looked different, stronger and more confident. At the diner, Gloria was already there with a steaming cup of coffee. She waved as I approached. "You look different," she said, studying my face. I sat down across from her. "Is that good or bad?" I asked. "Good," she laughed. "You seem lighter somehow." The waitress came over with a notepad in hand. "What can I get you folks?" I ordered a full breakfast. "I'm hungry today." Gloria raised an eyebrow. Celebrating? I shrugged, a small smile forming. Maybe I am. As we ate, we talked about everything and nothing. It felt great to chat without the heaviness of past burdens hanging over me. So what's next for you? Gloria asked, pushing her empty plate away. I leaned back. Well, first I'm selling the house. Too many memories there. Where will you go? She asked. I'm thinking of moving to the city. A fresh start, you know. Gloria nodded. That sounds good. What about work? I grinned. Funny you should ask. I got a call from the head office this morning. They're offering me a promotion to a senior management position. That's fantastic, she exclaimed. When do you start? In 2 weeks. Everything's moving quickly. We finished our coffee, making plans to meet again soon. As I walked Gloria to her car, she turned to me with a serious look. I'm proud of you, Mitchell. You've been through a lot, but you're coming out stronger. I held her hand tightly. Thank you, Gloria, for everything. In the weeks that followed, my life changed completely. I focused on packing up the house and sorting through years of memories. It felt good to decide what to keep and what to let go. The day the sold sign went up in front of the house, I felt a rush of success. Another tie to my old life was cut. This was my last day in town. I met up with Lawrence for a drink. So this is it, he said, raising his glass. Mitchell Bach, big city hotshot. I clinked my glass with his. Something like that. Lawrence's face grew serious. Listen, Mitch. I know I had my doubts about how you handled things with Christine, but I've got to admit I'm impressed you came out on top. I nodded and took a sip of my drink. I did what I had to do. No regrets. And Christine, have you heard from her? I shook my head. Not a word. And that's just fine with me. The next morning, as I drove out of town, I felt eager for what was ahead. The road stretched out in front of me, full of possibilities. My new apartment in the city was sleek and modern, with huge windows showing the skyline. As I unpacked, my phone rang. It was my new boss, Mitchell. Just checking in. Are you all settled? Getting there, sir. Looking forward to starting on Monday. Glad to hear it. We have big plans for you, Mitchell. I think you're going to do great things here. After I hung up, a smile spread across my face. This was it. My fresh start. That weekend, I explored my new neighborhood, getting to know the local shops and restaurants. As I strolled, I saw my reflection in a store window. The man looking back at me seemed confident and ready to take on the world. I remembered that night when Christine had walked out. I felt broken and lost back then. If someone had told me that in a few months I'd be here, starting a new life, I wouldn't have believed it. But I had done it. I took my pain and turned it into motivation, pushing myself forward. Christine had thought she could break me. Instead, she made me stronger. I unlocked the door to my new apartment. This was my future, and it was bright. Months went by, and I focused on my new life. Work was demanding but rewarding, and I quickly made a name for myself at the company. My social life blossomed as I made new friends and had new experiences. Even as I moved on, I kept an eye on Christine, not because I still cared, but out of curiosity to see how she was doing. One rainy afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Mitchell. The voice on the other end was familiar but rough, as if the speaker had been upset. I tensed. Christine, what do you want? I need help, she said, her voice trembling. I can't find a job. No one will hire me after everything. I leaned back, a cold smile on my face. You really thought I would help you? That's amusing, Christine. Please, don't beg. I don't have anywhere else to turn. My parents ignore me. My friends left me. John, let me guess, I interrupted. John went back to his wife. There was a long pause. How did you know? I laughed, the sound harsh even to me. Because I'm not foolish, Christine. I know I hurt you. I made a big mistake. But can't you find it in your heart to forgive me? I still remember how you looked when you walked out. Forgive you? I said, my voice icy. Never. You made your choice, Christine. Now you have to deal with what comes next. But goodbye, Christine. Don't call me again. I hung up and blocked her number. As I turned back to my work, I felt a sense of satisfaction. Christine was finally understanding what she had lost. Weeks later, I saw Sarah, Christine's old co-worker, at a business conference. Mitchell, she called, hurrying over. It's so nice to see you. How have you been? I smiled, shaking her hand. I'm doing great, Sarah. What about you? How are things at the old firm? Sarah's face changed to one of unease. Oh, well, I don't work there anymore. None of us do. I raised an eyebrow. What happened after everything with Christine? It came out that she had been making up reports and changing numbers. The whole company went under. I whistled softly. That's surprising. I had no idea. Sarah said it was chaotic. A lot of good people lost their jobs because of her actions. As we parted, I couldn't help but think about how far Christine had fallen. She lost everything. Her marriage, her job, her reputation. All of it was her doing. That evening, as I sat in my living room with a glass of whiskey, I took a moment to reflect. I thought about the man I had been before. Trusting, naive, weak. I raised my glass in a quiet salute to that man. He was gone now, replaced by someone stronger. Someone who wouldn't be fooled again. My phone buzzed with a text from Gloria. Dinner tomorrow? I have news. I smiled quickly and typed back. Wouldn't miss it. 8 p.m. at Luigi's. As I set my phone down, I felt a sense of anticipation. My new life held many opportunities, free from Christine's negative influence. I had emerged from the struggles a stronger person, ready to build my future. The restaurant was lively when I arrived, the warm noise of chatter all around. I saw Gloria at a corner table. Her face brightened when she spotted me. "Mitchell!" she called, waving me over. "You're not going to believe this!" I slid into the seat across from her, curious. "What's going on?" Gloria leaned in, her eyes sparkling. "Remember that book idea I told you about? The story you told me?" I nodded. After what happened with Christine, Gloria asked me to help write a book. It would be a warning about cheating and what can happen as a result. "Well," Gloria went on, "I just spoke with a publisher. They want Mitchell. They're offering a deal for 3 books. "Gloria, that's wonderful. Congratulations." She reached over and gave my hand a reassuring squeeze. "It's all because of you, Mitchell. Your story will help many people." As we celebrated over dinner, I felt an inner warmth growing. My pain and struggles would finally matter. Others would learn from what I went through. The next morning, I woke up to a flurry of messages on my phone. I felt a mix of emotions as I looked at them, my eyes widening with each new notification. It seemed Christine had finally lost control. She was posting a series of angry messages about me, John, her old colleagues, and anyone she felt was responsible for her troubles. I watched with interest as everything played out. Christine's old friends shared their own experiences with her inconsistencies. John's wife, Lauren, wrote a strong message, revealing even more of Christine's deceptive actions. By noon, Christine's outburst was trending online. I received a call from Alma, my divorce lawyer. "Mitchell," she said, sounding both excited and tense, "have you seen what's going on?" "I have," I replied, unable to hide my satisfaction. "It's quite a scene." "It's more than that," Alma said. "Some of Christine's posts could be seen as wrongful statements against you and her old job. We might be able to take action." I sat back, considering this. "What do you suggest?" "A restraining order to start, and we might even be able to pursue claims for defamation. This could really affect her chances," she said. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Whatever it takes." When I hung up, I felt pleased. Christine had brought this upon herself. Every choice she made led her to this point. My phone buzzed with a message from Lawrence. "Mitch, have you seen this? Your ex has lost it." I quickly replied, "I see it. Karma is real." Later that night, as things calmed down, I stood by my apartment window looking out at the city. In the reflection, I saw someone strong and successful, unbroken by the trials that had once almost defeated me. I thought about Christine, alone and angry, blaming the world for her problems. I considered John going back to his wife with his actions publicly revealed, and I reflected on myself. I had come so far and grown so much. My phone rang. It was Gloria. "Mitchell," she said with excitement. "The publisher called. Given everything today, they want to speed up the book. They think it could be a big hit." I smiled as I looked out at the twinkling lights of the city. "That's wonderful news, Gloria. I believe you're correct. People should know this story." After I ended the call, I felt a wave of relief come over me. This was the end, the last win. Christine had tried to bring me down, but she only ended up harming herself. I lifted my glass in a quiet celebration, to fresh starts, to lessons learned, to the person I had become, the person who would never be let down again. Hey, listeners of Temptress Cheating Tales. If you enjoyed hearing this story and want to stay in the loop with our latest content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for tuning in, and see you in the next wonderful story.